everybody who is watching this video. I'm very happy to have you today and have a good news for all the ordinary secondary students in Tanzania and even in any African country or in any country worldwide. My name is Sir Olenjolain Moko Tayelo Single. Just simply call me Sir Olenjolai. That's my name, from Tanzania, beautiful country, eastern of the African continent. For those who don't know what the located geographical positions of our country. This is our beautiful country and we love it. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you quickly into one of our online schools. That's called Tanzania Online Ordinary Secondary School in square bracket Olenjolain. Simultaneously, we have another one of our YouTube channels just to share our contents. And our YouTube channel for ordinary diploma secondary students is called the Tanzania Online O-Level Seki School in square bracket Olenjolain. Well, so the next question, I believe that you are inside. Whether you're a parent or you're a national international viewer, you are inside Tanzania Online Ordinary Secondary School right now. The next question, what visions do you have? That's very important questions. Well, so we have an assignment from God that we have received it, and we are trying our level best to make sure that we accomplish it before our departure from this physical life into the spiritual life, where we are going to live forever and ever with our Lord and our Savior, Jesus Christ. So an assignment we have is this one, that we have a responsibility. We have an assignment to teach, to train, to incubate, to mentor, to lead, and even to encourage some group of students who will be ready to extract the knowledge from the formal or informal classroom education, and combining that knowledge with the knowledge that we are going to extract it from the Word of God that written in the Holy Bible, in order to solve real life problems. So our main objective in Tanzania Online Ordinary Secondary School in square bracket Olenjolain is to solve real life problems from either small and from the smaller or we call it very small scale real life problem. We can have also a small scale real life problem. We can have medium scale real life problems, and you can have large scale real life problems. You can have extremely large scale real life problems. So it depends. So for ordinary secondary students, then you know that there is a size of your problem that you have to solve, that's still waiting for you, whether in your family, whether in your community, whether you're in your village, even sometimes also an ordinary secondary education students can solve a problem for the entire district. It happens. Just to go and read different literatures and different histories, you'll get surprised about what the ordinary secondary students of the previous years have contributed in a particular district or even in an entire country. So that the visions we have, our visions has 4 parts. Number 1, to understand and extract knowledge in the formal or informal classroom instruction or education. Number 2, to extract the knowledge from the Word of God written in the Holy Bible. Number 3, to combine these 2 knowledge. And number 4, to solve real life problems. So I know what am I saying, and I'm telling you this vision that I'm declaring to you. It might be sounding like impossible. Even myself, that when I received this piece of information from the Lord Himself, when I was in my own fellowship on how can I practice my own life on the planet Earth, then I thought it was impossible. And I know, that what happens, that the Lord has taken me step to step, and right now I believe that it's possible. However, that it can be a work of maybe 1 session or 1 lecture or maybe just 20 lectures. It can be just a work because we are changing your mindset. So it might be a work of several months or some number of years that have to be taken into account in order for you to achieve what am I telling you, that to take the classroom or to take the knowledge from the classroom instructions in order to solve the real life problems. But I want to tell you that it's possible, because myself, I'm a product of a man who have been trying my level best to extract the knowledge from the classroom instruction, and also I'm a product of a Word of God. And also I'm a product of a man who has been trying to combine these 2 knowledge on solving real life problems. And one of the real life problems that I'm solving in order to benefit my community is this one that I'm doing right now on because I know that the present and future generations will need to be taught science subjects and basically mathematics subjects. So again, in our online ordinary secondary school, we have some departments. One of the departments is called Departments of Chemistry. There we are teaching 4 subjects currently. The first subjects we are teaching chemistry for Form 1, chemistry for Form 2, chemistry for Form 3, and chemistry for the Form 4. And today we have chemistry for the Form 4 students. So I would like to, we have 10 topics in chemistry for the Form 4. The first chapter is called Compounds of Metals, and this contents is for the Form 4 or for the pre-Form 4 students or for the Class 14 in some of the English in secondary medium schools. Wow. So let us go inside this session. Okay, inside these sessions, which is session 2, which is metal. Today I'm going to teach about metal oxides. Say metal oxides. This is all about inorganic chemistry when it comes into the context of the chemistry. So let me do the quick review, because if that is session 2, then we have, I've already told you session 00, the general introductions of chemistry for the Form 4. And then I've told you the session 1, which is general introductions of compounds of metals. So let me do the quick review of session 1, which titled as general introductions of the compounds of metals. So in that aspect, first of all, I shall with you the big picture of 40, big picture of chemistry. That this is an oldest subject. We began to learn chemistry since our primary education. However, that it was chemistry at the part of science subject, whether in Swahili medium primary educations or English medium primary educations, we learned about chemistry. Then again, I mentioned 10 chapters. Okay, in that session I mentioned 10 chapters of 40 of chemistry from 4. So I mentioned 10 chapters, and I can just remind you. The first chapter is called Compounds of Metals. The second chapter is called the hydrogen chlorides and chlorine. The third chapter is called the sulfur and sulfuric acid. The fourth chapter is called nitrogen and the ammonia. The fifth chapter is called the carbon. The sixth chapter is called the hydrocarbons. The seventh chapter is called the alcohols and carboxylic acids. The eighth chapter is called the soil chemistry. And the ninth chapter is called pollutions. And the last chapter is called the qualitative analysis. Wow. So those are the 10 chapters that I've mentioned. In case you want too much details, you can go. So then I presented to you subtopics of 40 of the topic called the compounds of metal. And I didn't present you about a specific objective, but I presented you in differently. Just I've also presented to you concepts that we are going to cover in compounds of 40 of metals. Concepts that we are going to cover in a chapter of compounds of 40, compounds of metals. Compounds of metals. So that's what we have covered. So today, we are going to start the first compounds of metal, which is called the metal oxides. Metal oxides. Metal oxide. So before we start our sessions, I would like also to remind you that in Tanzania Online Ordinary Secondary School, in square bracket Olenjolain, we have also online library where that we are distributing, or we are equipping our students with very important material. The first online material that we recommend for chemistry, Form 3 and Form 4, is this book, which is called Chemistry Form 3 and Form 4 Students' Books. So this is the textbook that I'm going to recite. However, that I will be having Lambert or Chemistry by Lambert, because we have also some other books, as I mentioned in the session 00. The reference books, we have chemistry. We have a new certificate chemistry by John Lambert. We have also Olenjolain notes. We have online on internet notes. We have also Form 4 review or questions and answers books. So this is the one of the book. We can order this book in any, and we can ship in any regions of 31 regions of Tanzania. So make sure that you go to the descriptions of this video. You'll see the link that will take you to the video and show you how much does it cost you and what the shipping costing into different regions of Tanzania. And second, we also like to equip our students with questions and answers, books, This is ordinary level secondary chemistry review. It comprises questions for certificate secondary education examination, or we call it Form 4 past papers, from 2003 to 2019. So if you're a guardian or a parent, then you like to just have a home library for your children, then this is the nice book. You can order it and we can ship to you, and we are providing service to you interesting. Okay, so then that's the piece of information that I wanted to share with you. So let us come to today's session. We have a topic called the metal oxide, a subtopic. Subtopic is called metal oxide, and the sessions is called the metal oxide. Okay. So the first question, the fundamental question, we want to understand before we learn the word metal oxide. Let us understand the word we call it oxide. So the fundamental question that we want to ask ourselves: what is oxide? You can pause the video and then ask yourself, what is oxide? If you are watching this video as a group, then what is an oxide? What is an oxide? Because oxide is plural. What is an oxide? What is an oxide? I believe that you heard this word oxide during your Form 1 education or Form 2 education or Form 3 education. But let us review and let us start from that point. So what is oxide? Pause the video and then try to answer that question on the piece of paper yourself, and then you check the video to see the definition. What is an oxide? Oxide, when you mention the word oxide, what sound in your mind? Oxygen. It's come from oxide. So you say that we have a number of definitions, but this is the one that I prefer. So we say that an oxide is a chemical compound. This is the chemical compound. An oxide, the chemical compound that contains at least one oxygen. So this contains at least one oxygen atom, and the other one or other element, and the one other element in its chemical form. So that's the definition of an oxide. An oxide, what's an oxide? Is a chemical compound that contains at least one oxygen atom. At least one contains 2 oxygen atoms, 3 oxygen atoms, 4 oxygen atoms, etc., and one other element in this chemical form. So it means that an oxide is a compound. It's not an element, it's a compound. And that compound should contain at least one oxygen atom and any other element or any other atom. Any other element or atom in its chemical form. So we have so many different types, and even that we call them examples of oxide before, because metal oxide, it's a combination of oxide and even some other and metals. That's what we call it. So what are the examples? So, according to the definition, examples of oxides are, we can have nitrogen monoxide, we can have nitrogen dioxide, we can have sodium oxide. So you see, so at least one oxygen atom and the other atom is nitrogen, two oxygen atom, the other atom is nitrogen, then one oxygen atom and the other two atoms are sodium. So these are the examples of oxide. So then now we have a next question of metal oxide. So now you know the meaning of oxide. Then now let us think, I and you, what the meaning of metal oxide. So now, the oxide in general, it should contains at least one oxygen atom and at least one other element. It can be the other element, it can be either metal or non-metal. So when it comes to the metal oxide, we are taking a special group of oxides whereby one atom of that metal oxide should be an oxygen, and the other atom and the other atom or other atoms should be metal. Okay, that the means of metal oxide. So it means that in this context of metal oxide, we are going to learn only oxide which contains oxygen, at least one atom of oxygen, and the metal atoms. Right? So we won't discuss any oxide which comprises or which contains in its chemical formula one atom or more than one atom of oxygen, at least one atom of oxygen, and the non-metal. And the other atoms is non-metal. We won't consider this, we won't learn that one. So the second question now, because I've already explained, and pause the video. What is metal oxide? As a Form 4 student, as a students who love chemistry, what is metal oxide? Pause the video and then ask yourself, what the meaning of metal oxide? There are so many definitions, but I found one in this question and the answer box, because there's in the sections of 40 short notes, there's a compounds of 40 of metals. I like these definitions of metal oxide. So we say that metal oxide what is metal oxide? So metal oxide is a compound which formed when a metal combines with oxygen, to form a compound. So a metal oxide is a compound which formed when a metal combines with oxygen. When a metal combines with oxygen, form a new compound. That's the definitions of metal oxide. First of all, it's a compound which formed when a metal, not a non-metal, because you can form an oxide by having a non-metal or a combination by having reactions between a non-metal and an oxygen. So to form a new compound. So simply, we say that metal oxide, this is a combination of a metal element with oxygen. At the meanings of metal oxide. It can be maybe one atom of metal, or two atoms, or three atoms. It can be also one atom of oxygen, or more than one atom of oxygen. So that the means of metal oxide. So metal oxide is a compound formed by a combination of the reactions of metal and the oxide. Okay. So the next question, what are the examples? Examples of metal oxide. Examples of metal oxides are, first example is copper 2 oxide. The chemical formula is Cu oxide. Then is lead oxide. Lead oxide. Lead oxide. So lead oxide. So that lead oxide, the chemical formula is this. This is the chemical formula of lead oxide. Then the other ones is aluminum oxide. Aluminum oxide. The other example is aluminum oxides. Molecular formula like this. Then the other example, we have zinc oxide. Zinc oxide. Zinc oxide's molecular formula is Zn oxide. And the other example is sodium oxide. Sodium oxide. So this sodium oxide is written as this, sodium oxide. So those are the examples of metal oxide. Okay. The next question in chemistry, okay, now we know that what the means of metal oxide. Well, that's one stage. The next question that we have to ask ourselves as chemists, how can we prepare now a metal oxide? What are the methods, what are the chemical methods of preparations of metal oxide? So now let me teach you about preparation of metal oxide. Preparation of metal oxides. Preparations of metal oxide. So in chemistry, we have so many different ways that we can prepare a compound. But in this context of the compounds of metals, we are going to prepare the compounds of metals, for instance, the metal oxide, by either using one of these methods. We can use the direct preparation or direct method, and we have also indirect method, right? So we say that in chemistry laboratory, the metal oxide can be prepared. The metal oxide can be prepared by using either direct method, or indirect method. So it can be either direct method or indirect method. And if you read the textbook of chemistry from 3 and 4 students' book prepared by Tanzania Institute of Education, you will see the pictures, and you will see also the ways, the steps that you have to follow if you have those chemicals and can prepare a metal oxide. So let us start with the first method, which is called the direct method. Because in the exam, you can be asked this question. Explain 2 methods used to prepare a metal oxide. Direct method. Direct method. Direct method. So we say that in this method, this indirect method. In this method, okay, in this method, we say that a metal, any metal, a metal is heated strongly, metal is heated in the presence, okay, in oxygen, in presence of oxygen, okay, oxygen to form a metal oxide. So the metal oxide in this direct method will be prepared, whereas the direct method will be prepared when the metal that we want to combine with oxygen is heated in presence of oxygen to form a metal oxide. So simply we say that if you have what? A metal, the whole equation, metal plus oxygen. But under presence of what? Under presence of heat. That's the condition, because we are heating this metal in presence of oxygen. Then we are going to have metal oxide. So here we spoke in a very interesting and simple chemistry language, right? So that's the general equation. Okay, this is the general equations. We call it the word equation. This is we call it word equation. So now, to see, let us see and write even the balanced chemical equation of the metal oxide that we can prepare in this method. So the example, if it begins with write the word equation, we can take sodium and heat sodium in presence of what? Of oxygen. Presence of oxygen, and then will form sodium oxide. We form sodium oxide. So now, by using symbols, sodium is the symbol of sodium, which should be in solid state, is heated. So here we have heat. Okay, heat. So then, okay, it's heated in presence of oxygen. This case, and with this one now we have a symbol, chemistry symbol for heat. This is triangle indicating that heat, or we can use the envelope. Okay, because now you are in O level. Don't know. I don't want to confuse you. So then the product which will be formed after these two reactants react is sodium. 2 atoms of sodium required to combine with 1 atom of oxygen. And what will be the state? The state of these compounds, which is product, is in solid state. So is equation balanced? No, because you have 1 atom of sodium, here we have 2 atoms of sodium. So you have to balance this equation. So you have 2 atoms of sodium, you have 2 atoms of oxygen. 2 atoms of sodium on the right hand side. You have 2 atoms of oxygen, you have 1 atom of oxygen. So to balance, then here we have a half of 40 of oxygen. So that's the balanced chemical equation. Excuse me. The compounds here which will be formed also, which will be sodium, it will be sodium oxide like this one. So 2 molecules of sodium will combine with 2 molecules of 40 of oxygen. So that is all about direct method. Say that's all about direct method. What do you think about indirect method of preparing metal oxide? Because in this session, I have to teach about metal oxide. I have to teach you classifications of metal oxide, and then I have to teach you uses of metal oxide, and that will be the end of our session 2 of metal oxide. So in the next sessions, I will teach about metal hydroxide. Well, That is good news. So now let me teach you about indirect muscle. You can add up so many examples, but for the O-level students, that's one example is enough. It's more than enough. Indirect muscle. How do we prepare metal oxide by using indirect muscle? Okay. So a metal in this method, which is indirect, say that a metal oxide is prepared by decomposing what? Composing another compound by using heat, but it's not necessary in the presence of oxygen, by using heat to produce a metal oxide and the other product of that reaction. Okay? So we say that in this method, a metal oxide is prepared by decomposing what? By decomposing another compound by using heat to produce a metal oxide and other product. This can be done in either of the following two ways. Preparing a compound which is then decomposed by heating to give the oxide. So this can be achieved in either of these ways. So A, by preparing intermediate compound of oxide, intermediate compound, not of oxide even necessary. It's not necessary to be necessary. Intermediate compound, and the heating it, then heating it to produce metal oxide. So this is the method. So we say that in direct method, we are not going to take a metal and heat it in presence of oxygen at the direct method. In direct method, we have a compound which contains at least one atom of oxygen. So to produce a metal can be just one atom, but it's not a metal oxide. So we have a non-metal oxide compound. We have a compound which is not a metal oxide compound. It can be another salts or another compound or whatever. So we heat that compound in the first step or in the first stage to produce a metal, another new metal compound, which is not the metal oxide compound. And then, so that the new compound is, we call it in chemistry, intermediate compound. So we take that intermediate compounds and we heat it again in order to produce a metal oxide compound. That's what we call it indirect method. It's not direct. So we have an example. So once we teach you, we know that if we teach you by using examples, the subject will be very interesting to you. first step, or step 1, for instance. Step 1, we said that we want to prepare copper nitrate from copper, or by reacting copper with concentrated nitric acid. So you can take copper and salt and reacting with concentrated nitric acid. Then we produce, so this is in the presence of heat, we produce copper nitrate. So we produce copper nitrate as intermediate compound. And this is in aqueous state, while this concentrated nitric acid is in liquid state. And also other products which will be produced is 2 moles of nitrogen dioxide plus 2 moles of water. Two moles of water. Okay, so this is the first state. The second state, we have now intermediate compound, which is called the copper nitrate, because here we have a metal and also you have some 6 atoms of oxygen. So according to the indirect method, we say that the second state, now we say that let us heat intermediate compound, which is copper nitrate. Which is copper nitrate. So we heat the copper nitrate, so then now we have copper nitrate, if we heat it, then we get copper oxide, copper 2 oxide, plus nitrogen dioxide plus oxygen. This is solid state. So it's copper 2 oxide. This is in solid state. Then plus nitrogen dioxide, yes. We have to balance here. Here we have 4 molecules of concentrated nitric acid. Yes, 4 molecules of it. We have 1 atom of copper, 1 atom of copper. We have 2 atoms of nitrogen. We have 4 atoms of nitrogen plus 2. So 4 atoms of nitrogen, 4 atoms of nitrogen. 4 atoms of hydrogen, 4 atoms of hydrogen. Then 6 atoms of oxygen and 6 atoms of oxygen. So this will produce 2 moles of nitrogen dioxide, which is gas, and plus oxygen gas. So we have 1 atom of copper, 1 atom of copper. We have 2 atoms of nitrogen, 2 atoms of nitrogen. We have 6 atoms of oxygen. Here we have 4 atoms of oxygen. This will make 6, and this will make a half. So to balance it, we have a half. Yes, this is a half gaseous state. So we have 1 atom of oxygen plus 1 atom of oxygen make 2, and plus 4 atoms of oxygen makes 6. So the equation is balanced. So then this is now the metal oxide. So I just want to show you that this is metal oxide, which we call copper 2 oxide. So we have already prepared it by using indirect method. So let us go another method, which is a B of direct method. Okay. So we can also prepare copper metal oxide by using the or by decomposing an already prepared compound by heating it to give the oxide. So this is part A. So B, by decomposing an already prepared compound by heating preparing an already compound by heating it to give the oxide, by heating it to give oxide. So this is a second method, a second indirect method of preparing metal oxide. We can decompose what? An already prepared compound by using heat. So all the two methods need heat. Heating it to give what? Oxide and other compounds. So you have example. Okay, you have example. And the example is copper carbonate. You can heat copper carbonate, which is in solid state, its physical state is solid. You can heat it, and then we have what? So heat, we form copper oxide, which is solid state, plus carbon dioxide, gaseous state. Okay, so you see that. Now we've already prepared the copper oxide, which is metal oxide, by heating copper carbonate. Because later on we'll also teach you about metal carbonates. Because here we are going to teach you metal oxide, we'll teach you metal hydroxide, and so we'll teach you metal carbonates, and etc. 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 That's why I call compounds of metals. It's very interesting in organic compounds that we are going to learn. So this is copper carbonates. If we heat, we get copper oxide, which is metal oxide, and carbon dioxide, which is gas. Okay, so that's the first or that the interesting part. Another interesting part, after teaching you the preparation of metal oxide in general, now, ladies and gentlemen, let me teach you about classification of metal oxide. We as chemists, how we can classify this metal oxide, because they have different properties. All of them, they contains at least one atom of oxygen and either metal, but depending on the type of metal, then it can have some properties which the other metal oxide don't have. So then now we are going to the next section, which is classification, which is the second section, classification of metal oxide. Classification of metal oxide. Classifications of metal oxide. Classifications of metal oxide. Based on the chemical, on the properties of metal oxide. This is still introduction. When you study in organic chemistry, then we start this stuff in detail. Based on the properties of metal oxide, based on the properties of metal oxide, we say that the metal oxide can be classified into 4 groups. depending on their properties. When we classify the metal oxide in terms of solubility, we have two types of metal oxide. We have two classes, soluble metal oxide and insoluble metal oxide. But again, if you classify it further, depending on the acidic property of metal oxide or basic property of metal oxide, we are going to have basic oxide and amphoteric oxide. So you say that based on solubility, of metal oxide, based on solubility of metal oxide, there are, okay, based on solubility of metal oxide, we have one, soluble metal oxide, then the insoluble metal oxide, soluble metal oxide. This is based on what? Based on the properties, based on solubility of metal oxide. So you have soluble metal oxide and insoluble metal oxide. The soluble metal oxide and insoluble metal oxide. So let us discuss what are the soluble metal oxide. Because we have examples of them. Say soluble metal oxide, these are the metal oxides that are dissolved in water to form a metal hydroxide solution. Metal oxides, soluble metal oxides. So these are the metal oxides. These are the metal oxides dissolve readily into water, or dissolve readily in water to form what? To form a metal hydroxide, to form a metal hydroxide solution. Metal hydroxide solution. So you say that these are the metal oxides dissolve, okay, and the metal hydroxide. These are the metal oxide that dissolves readily in water to form what? A metal hydroxide solution. A metal hydroxide solution. A metal hydroxide solution. So, basically oxides. Okay. So these are the metal oxides oxides dissolves in water, form hydroxide solution, metal hydroxide solution. And another group we have insoluble metal oxides. And will categorize further the metal, the soluble metal oxide. What are the examples of soluble metal oxides? Examples of metal oxides, examples are so examples we have sodium oxide. Another example is potassium oxide. So sodium oxide and the potassium oxide. So these are the soluble metals, a soluble metal oxide. So again, we say that we can categorize, or soluble metal oxides are further categorized into, so not before, soluble metal oxides can be further categorized into two groups, and these are basic oxide, these are so it will be the same because the second is soluble. This will make basically soluble metal oxide, or just we call it basic metal oxide. So if we dissolve sodium oxide, we get sodium hydroxide solution in water. Okay, so it means that if you have sodium oxide, we dissolve it in water, then we are going to have sodium hydroxide, and then plus what? So sodium hydroxide. Then you balance. We have 2 atoms of sodium there, then sodium hydroxide plus what? Plus hydrogen gas. Okay, hydrogen gas. So here you have 2 to make 5 oxygen. No, yeah, just like that. So you have hydroxide plus hydrogen ion. Okay, plus hydrogen ions. So this is the reaction. So 2 molecules of hydrogens, 2 atoms of hydrogens, 2 oxygen, that is. So we have 3 hydrogen ions. So okay, so let us just keep on focusing on what? On this fact. So let us ignore the other part. 2 atoms of sodium, 2 atoms of sodium, 2 atoms of oxygen, 2 atoms of oxygen, 2 atoms of hydrogen, 2 atoms of hydrogen. So you have basic metal oxide, and the first one, we call it amphoteric metal oxide. Okay. So the next question is, before we go for the soluble or insoluble metal oxide, next question now we have to ask ourselves basic oxides. Basic metal oxides. So say with me, basic metal oxides. If you have any question, don't hesitate to ask in the comment section. Basic metal oxides. So basic metal oxides are the metal oxides that react with acids to give salt and water as only product. So we say these are the metal oxides. These are the metal oxides react with acids. So react with acids to give salty and the water. We give two products, salty and water, as the only product. As the only product. As the only product. So that is all about basic metal oxides. Then we say that basic oxides, basic metal oxides include all group 1 oxide. Basic metal oxides include all group 1. We have a periodic table, and then we have group 1, all group 1 oxides. So when we say group 1 oxide, it means that first of all, lithium oxide. We have also sodium oxide. We have also potassium oxide. So, etc. Because we have also some other elements of group 1. So, basic oxide, it's a type of a soluble oxide which can dissolve or which can react with acids to form salt and water are the only product. That's why we call them basic oxide. Remember also, basic oxide is soluble in water. And phosphoric oxide also is soluble in water. I didn't teach you yet about insoluble metal oxide. So let me teach you about phosphoric oxide and give you an example. I'm about to end this session. Then we have the first class of 40 of metal oxide, which is called amphoteric. Amphoteric metal oxide. Amphoteric metal oxide. What's amphoteric metal oxide? Are the questions that we have on the spot. You can pause. Ask yourself, metal oxides. So we say that these are the oxides which have both property, acidic and the basic properties. So are the oxide which react with both acid and base, and these oxides have both alkalinic and the acidic properties. So amphoteric oxide, we say that these are the oxide. These are the oxides, and the metal oxide, which can react with both acid and the salt and not even base. Why? Because amphoteric metal oxides have what both basic and the acidic properties. Okay, both with acid or with both acid and the base to form a new product. Form a new product. Okay. So we say that another piece of information. We say that examples of amphoteric oxides compounds of metals can be seem like a difficulty topic in chemistry. Amphoteric of metal oxides are zinc oxide, okay, zinc oxide, then aluminium oxide, and the lead oxide. Those are the examples of what of amphoteric metal oxide. So now let me teach you about the last class of metal oxide, which is called insoluble metal oxide. In case you have any question, don't hesitate to ask in the comment section of this video, please. Okay. So we have again number 2, which was insoluble metal oxide. Insoluble metal oxides. What are the insoluble metal oxides? Insoluble metal oxides, these are the metal oxides that cannot dissolve in water. Okay? Basic oxides react with acid to form salt and water. Also copper 2 oxide, iron oxide, magnesium oxide, those are basic oxides. So these are the oxide, these are the metal oxides, which cannot dissolve readily in water. So that's why we call them insoluble metal oxides. So simply, classifications of metal oxide, we have 4 classes. So we say that 4 groups of 40, 4 groups, in short, 4 groups of metal oxides are this. First group, we have soluble metal oxide, because these are simple questions. Class 5 metal oxide. So soluble metal oxide. I'll mention 4 classes of metal oxides. Second one is called the basic metal oxide. Basic metal oxides. The next one we call the amphoteric metal oxides. And the next one we call it the insoluble metal oxides. Okay, so now you know what the meanings of metal oxide, what the meaning of how we prepare metal oxide, by direct method, indirect method, by heating, you know, 4 classes of metal oxide. The next question now, which is the main objective of Tanzania online ordinary secondary school, is what are the uses of metal oxides? Okay, we have uses of metal oxides. So here, just I ask you, I would like to give you the homework 2. HW means homework 2. Okay, homework 2. And this is example 1. Right? So just mention, don't explain, because you are O-level students. Mention 3 uses. So the uses of 40 of metal oxide. Do this homework and then send your solution in the comment section, and I will see and give you marks so that you'll be well prepared. This is the end of session 2, which titled as metal oxides. I told you about what the means of an oxide, for the means of metal oxide. How we prepare metal oxide? We have two methods: direct method of preparing metal oxide and indirect methods of preparing metal oxide. I told you 4 classes or 4 groups of metal oxide, which is soluble metal oxide, insoluble metal oxide, amphoteric metal oxide, and basic metal oxide. And then I left it a homework, which is part 9 of this session, for you to mention 3 applications or uses of metal oxides in our daily life, or in industry, or in laboratory, or elsewhere that you can find metal oxide, because we want to know, and then we want to get prepared, and we want to get prepared on how we can use the concepts of metal oxide to benefit our own life. This is the end of session 2. I invite you in session 3, where now I'll be teaching about methyl hydroxide, because also we'll be beginnings with what the meanings of hydroxide, and then so it comes into metal hydroxides, and I will teach you in details. And then if we cover it, then I'm going to teach you about metal carbonates, right, and some other also compounds of metals, as how I've mentioned in the subtopics of 60, because you have 60 subtopics of compounds of metals, which is all about inorganic chemistry in case of advanced chemistry. Okay, so this is the end. I ask you that don't forget to click the buttons of subscribe, which is on the right hand side of your video that you're watching right now. And why should you subscribe? The reason is we are going to have more than 500 recorded high definition videos, which will be teaching you about basic mathematics from 1 through form 4, and also will teach you chemistry from 1 through form 4, and teach you physics from 1 through form 4. So that once you subscribe, the YouTube community will give you notification that Olenjolai has added a new video or a new session, a new video of a particular session. So you'll be notified officially, because every day we are going to add a video in our YouTube channels that called TANZANIA Online or Level Safety School and square bracket Olenjolai. And make sure that in order for you to be capable to subscribe, you have an email. So in case you don't have an email, just right there, go to the Google and search how can I open an email, or how can I open a new email. And so you get instructions whether Yahoo, email, or Gmail. And then you can now subscribe, and then the bells will appear. Click the bells and choose the options of all. So then now, once we upload a new video, then the YouTube community will give you notifications once you are online. Again, remember to share these contents with all other pre-Form 4 students and even for 4 students, so they can benefit, because they can access these contents online anywhere in the country of Tanzania, in our country of Tanzania, and even also at any time. That's the good news. Again, read the descriptions so that you have so many informations, and even the links for our other online schools and also for our other online institutions. So you can share with your brother or your elder brother or your elder sister. So until we meet in the next time, make sure that you watch this video several times as well as you can. I know when I was in Form 4, Form 3, Form 4, one of the challenging topic is compounds of metals. It was really challenging to me to understand, but I thank God by His own grace, I struggled a lot, and finally I understood, and now even I know more than what I knew myself, and that's why that I'm teaching you. It doesn't mean that I know everything about compounds of metal. I just know small portions of it, but I have a responsibility to teach millions of present and future generation students. So I would like, again, finally, in case you feel from your heart that you want to offer God your free willing thanksgiving, because for example, myself, I could have charged you a lot of money for you to have these materials because they are worth, but it's my thanksgiving offering to God, who have given me a gift of teaching without make any application. So I'm saying thank you, God, and that's why that I'm providing these contents free of charge to all the Tanzanian students for the particular time that God has said or has told me to do that. So also this is just a little insistence, and because my main objective is to spread the knowledge of chemistry, the beauty of chemistry, the beauty of physics, the beauty of basic mathematics into the entire country. Because usually, the physical educations, you find that the O-level and the ordinary level educations and advanced level educations in science is mainly centralized in Dar es Salaam. So we want to break that rules and spread this message and spread the knowledge of chemistry, of chemistry, of physics, of mathematics, advanced physics, advanced chemistry, advanced mathematics, basic applied mathematics, and even engineering mathematics into the entire nation. So everybody can learn these contents without coming to Dar es Salaam or without going to learn them at Dar es Salaam. So you can learn these contents in Kigoma or in Ruvuma or in Mbeya or in Bukoba or in Kagera or in Geita or in any regions of Tanzania. That is good news to me and good news to you. I have never seen any programs like this one. So that's why that I really insist you to be a serious student and get connected. I'm praying for you, and I ask you also to pray for me. I invite you in the next session 3, which I'm going to teach about methyl hydroxide. Invite so many students, share this video, share the link of these channels, and tell other Tanzanian students, African students, worldwide students that it is a time to enjoy the beauty of chemistry. So, I don't want to say that this is the last word of mine in these sessions, but may God bless you abundantly and keep you until we meet together in the next session. I will miss you.